Welcome to U.S. immigration. The Biden administration is betting on a technological fix, a mobile app to reduce certain immigration backlog. In recent weeks, U.S. border officials have taken an unprecedented step, quietly deploying a new app, CBP One, which relies on controversial facial recognition, geolocation and cloud technology to collect, process and store sensitive information of immigrants before they enter the United States. The House of Representatives passed legislation in the past, which is now struck down by Supreme Court unanimously on Monday, stating certain immigrants temporarily present in United States may not be eligible to apply for green cards. There are 400,000 people from 12 different countries who may be affected by this ruling. Expanding legal immigration is a worthy goal, but there are many ways to accomplish it. Policy analysts, economists, political scientists, journalists, and advocates from around the world offer new policy suggestions that future Congresses could use to liberalize the legal immigration system. The Problem Solvers Caucus, consisting of Democrats and Republicans, believes immigration reform is going to take patience and political courage. Josh and Brian in an interview commented about that. Let's hear what they have to say.
We need to have tough borders to protect our country, but also live up to our values. And there's a way to do this, but it's going to take reform. It's going to take us all actually doing the hard stuff. We've been working on this as a caucus for years. We had a proposal years ago that we were very close to getting to the floor. We had enough votes if it actually got to the floor to pass it, but you couldn't get it to the floor because you've got leaderships on both sides wanting to use it as a political football instead of actually solving the problem. And so I think we're going to have to look at real comprehensive reform, obviously protect our dreamers, obviously have tough borders, but then solve.
If you are interested in this topic, please stick around till the end of this video. For your immigration news and updates, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to hit that notification bell. Let's get into the video. DHS CBP One mobile application. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, launched a new public-facing mobile application, CBP One, to provide the public a single portal to a variety of CBP services. CBP One will eventually replace and upgrade existing CBP public-facing mobile applications to improve user interaction and services. CBP One includes different functionality for travelers, importers, brokers, carriers, and international organizations under a single consolidated login, and uses guided questions to help users determine the correct services, forms, or applications needed. CBP is conducting this privacy impact assessment to address privacy risks in the deployment and use of the CBP One mobile application. DHS officials argue that such smart border innovation is more effective than the previous administration's walls and bans. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas told lawmakers last week that the Biden administration was requesting $1.2 billion for modernizing ports of entry and border security technology, including ensuring safe, orderly, and humane treatment of migrants. CBP's use of face recognition poses enormous risks to privacy and is another step down a dangerous path as per few experts. Whenever the government acquires a person's faceprint, it creates a risk of persistent surveillance, where the government could identify and track people's movements without their knowledge. But not everyone is opposing the app. There are few with different views who thinks this app was a positive step towards a more efficient and fair processing of cases. Link related to CBP One app is provided in the description. Currently, this app is used only in the border by CBP. Let's get into the next topic of immigration reform from the view of Problem Solver Caucus. Some of you may not be even familiar with the Problem Solver Caucus. The Problem Solvers Caucus became an independent member-driven group in Congress, comprised of representatives from across the country, equally divided between Democrats and Republicans, committed to finding common ground on many of the key issues facing the nation, including immigration. Co-chaired by Representative Josh Gottheimer, Democrat of New Jersey, and Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, Republican of Pennsylvania, the caucus's aim is to work together to successfully break through the gridlock of today's political issue, including immigration. It is a group united in the idea that believes in common-sense solutions to many of the country's toughest challenges. Josh and Brian from Problem Caucus believe immigration reform is going to take patience and political courage. Let's hear what they have to say.
And both of you have, as you mentioned earlier in the session, visited the southern border in Texas. Congressman Fitzpatrick, you've said that the caucus is going to shift its priority to immigration once the infrastructure package has been voted on. What did you see at the border, and what bipartisan solutions do you think are possible on immigration?
Yeah, Jacqueline, well, one of the many things Josh and I have in common, we love and support our law enforcement, and we love our nation's children, and we love the world's children.
Thank you for having a conversation like this where you can actually answer in greater depth than a soundbite, right? Which is part of the challenge right now on immigration overall, right? Everybody wants to take shots at each other instead of digging into it the way Brian just did. It's very difficult.
We know what's needed to fix it. We need to come together around two principles. Number one, and in no particular order, we are a nation of the rule of law, and a nation has an obligation to defend and protect their borders. And second is we're a nation of immigrants. Our country was built on immigrants, like my grandfather and grandparents who came in through Ellis Island from Ireland. That's what made America great, is immigration, but it was legal immigration. We know what we need to do to fix this. And we had a group that went down there, many Democrat colleagues, including Henry Cuellar, Vicente Gonzalez, that have very pragmatic approaches that I would absolutely sign on to as a Republican. We can make them bipartisan. But we just got to be willing to show the courage, because that's what's stopping it every single time, Jacqueline, is the fringes that are afraid to even migrate a little bit from their base. You got to have the courage to fix this problem.
We need to have tough borders to protect our country, but also live up to our values. And there's a way to do this, but it's going to take reform. It's going to take us all actually doing the hard stuff. We've been working on this as a caucus for years. We had a proposal years ago that we were very close to getting the floor. We had enough votes if it actually got to the floor to pass it, but you couldn't get it to the floor because you've got leaderships on both sides wanting to use it as a political football instead of actually solving the problem. And so I think we're going to have to look at real comprehensive reform, obviously protect our dreamers, obviously have tough borders, but then solve that they just want to be part of the American dream and be in the United States. That's how great our country is. But it's a very tough thing that we've got to grapple with. And I think Brian and I and a group of us can really come up with some answers here, but it's going to take patience and political courage. But I think we can do it, and we're both very committed to tackling it.
Let's get into the next topic of Supreme Court decision against immigrants seeking green cards. The House of Representatives passed legislation in the past, which is now struck down by Supreme Court unanimously on Monday, stating certain immigrants temporarily present in United States may not be eligible to apply for green cards. There are 400,000 people from 12 different countries who may be affected by this ruling. As per the rule, all the applicants for green cards must have been inspected and admitted or paroled into the United States. A unanimous Supreme Court ruled Monday that thousands of people living in the U.S. for humanitarian reasons are ineligible to apply to become permanent residents, since everyone in that category did not follow the rule while entering United States. As per the court, the federal immigration law prohibits people who entered the country illegally and now have temporary protected status from seeking green cards to remain in the country permanently. The TPS designation applies to people who come from countries ravaged by war or disaster. It protects them from deportation and allows them to work legally. As mentioned earlier, there are 400,000 people from 12 countries with TPS status. President Joe Biden has said he supports the change in the law. But his administration, like the Trump administration, argued that current immigration law doesn't permit people who entered the country illegally to apply for permanent residency. On the other side were immigrant groups that argued many people who came to the U.S. for humanitarian reasons have lived in the country for many years, given birth to American citizens, and put down roots in the United States. Monday's decision does not affect immigrants with TPS who initially entered the U.S. legally and then, say, overstayed their visa. Because those people were legally admitted to the country and later were given humanitarian protections, they can seek to become permanent residents. Hope the information presented in the video is useful. U.S. Immigration Channel will be releasing a video when additional information is available on any of these program or regulations. If you have not subscribed, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Do not forget to hit that notification bell. See you soon in our next video.